So Virizion is the new raid boss to beat in Pokemon Go. Just like the other Swords of Justice Pokemon, this is a fighting type Pokemon. The dual type it has is Grass. This means Virizion is doubly weak to flying type attacks. So if you're looking at your Psystrike Mewtwo, you might want to put it aside because this fight is for the birds. In this video, I'm going to be covering the best counters to the Virizion Raid, and I'll also be talking about Virizion's use in the meta. So this here is a graph of level 40 counters against a tier 5 Virizion Raid with all of Virizion's movesets averaged, using best friendship and no dodging. The y-axis here is your damage per second, so the higher up you are, the faster you deal damage to the raid boss, which means the faster the raid will end. In fact, I actually have a line here showing the amount of DPS you need in order to achieve the duo. So yes, a Swellow, level 40 Swellows, do have the opportunity to duo Virizion. Might be hard against the Stone Edge set, but if you're up against close combat, Swellows can actually pull it off in theory. So yeah. Now down here we have the x-axis, and the x-axis is your total damage output. So the percent of raid boss HP you take away on average before your Pokemon goes down. Obviously this changes with what moveset Virizion has, because you're not going to be lasting so long with Stone Edge than you would be against Leaf Blade, for instance. At any rate, it is a rough metric for a Pokemon's tankiness, and then I also have a Relobby Avoid TDO line here. Once again, can be contingent on the moveset of Virizion, but just giving you a general idea of how much this TDO can pay off in battle. At any rate, the more up and to the right the Pokemon is on this graph, the better it is for this raid. And like I said, for the birds, man, up at top, wings flapping, we have Moltres with Wing Attack and the legacy move Sky Attack. Sky Attack Moltres was available for Moltres' special raid day, so if you don't have one, ask around. I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people that do have extras that are willing to trade them. It's not exactly a rare legacy move, and if they're not willing to power up every single one of their Sky Attack Moltreses, then what reason do they have to not boost their community's ability to beat this raid boss by trading it to you? Somebody who would, ideally, power up a Moltres. If you're curious, Sky Attack, let's say you don't have it, well, where does Overheat fall? Well, Wing Attack Overheat is kind of down here. It just barely makes the duo DPS line. It's not exactly terrible. If you have a Clear Weather boost, so Wing Attack with Overheat with the Clear Weather boost here, you can see it's a step up. It's a bit above Psychic Mewtwo, but still a little bit behind Psystrike Mewtwo. It's really that Sky Attack, the charge move, that kind of drives the damage home when it comes with Moltres, so keep that in mind. Like here, we have Fire Spin with Sky Attack, and it's on the level of like a slightly above level 30 Rayquaza here. Like, that's not too bad, but you know, Wing Attack isn't a legacy move, so you may as well TM it over, right? So after Moltres, we also have Rayquaza standing out as being a really powerful option with the Air Slash and Aerial Ace moveset. Outrage is not a flying type attack. It does not do super effective damage to Virizion. Aerial Ace, on the other hand, does double super effective damage to Virizion. So you will have to burn some TMs in order to prep your Rayquazas, which might not exactly be ideal depending on where you are with your TMs. If you do not have a bunch of Moltreses to power up, or you're not going to power up another one, and you don't want to convert your Rayquazas into Virizion slamming mode, there is another option. Two other options that are pretty tantalizing, and they are Honchkrow and Unfezant. So you know how Murkrow and all the P-Doves have been plaguing our spawn pools? They're just everywhere type Pokemon. Yeah, evolve those guys. They're super good with their double flying movesets. They are the next best options for this raid. Like super big DPS here at level 40, clearly above the Psystrike Mewtwo. And even if you are thrifting, you're at like level 33.5, level 32.5. These are attack breakpoints, so if you have less than 15 attack IV on them, you'll have to have them be a little bit a higher level, you know? I said that sentence kind of weird there. But yeah, no, so even at these breakpoints, they're still above the DPS level of Psystrike Mewtwo. So, you know, obviously if you have a maxed out Psystrike Mewtwo, that guy's going to be top dog. But if you don't, you maybe got middling level ones or whatever, maybe you don't even have a Psystrike Mewtwo powered up, these birds are awesome. So yeah, catching them at like level 30, catching them up to level 35 with a weather boost, you don't even really have to think about their IVs too much. You just have to evolve them, get the double flying movesets on them, and they are ready to rock and roll. And given that this is the cutoff here for duo DPS, if you are a thrifting type player, you know, you're not going for like the high-end duo or anything like that, then yeah, these guys will serve you much better than a lot of alternative options would for this raid if you're attacking with like more than 4 people. But of course, after all these grand flying type options, Psystrike and Psychic Mewtwo are there, you know, muscles flexing or brain flexing with their psychic type damage. Really good Pokemon, super ubiquitous. We do have some interesting newcomers here as well. We have Drill Peck Zapdos here. As far as the Thundershock versus Charge Beam goes, Thundershock is slightly better for the fast move, but they're roughly the same, really. It's all about that Drill Peck. But yeah, if you got a maxed out Zapdos or something, you're on Team Instinct, you like to flex your Zapdos, maybe give it the Drill Peck and try it out for this raid. Could be fun. Here we have the Hidden Power Flying Ho-Oh with the Brave Bird attack. You can see here this is extra sensory, so not doubly super effective, only single super effective, and then also gets a same type bonus on the Hidden Power Flying. So if you do have a Hidden Power Flying Ho-Oh like maxed out, you want to flex with it against grass type raids, well, this is a grass fighting type raid that you can double flex on. But of course, your double flying damage is not nearly as impressive as, I almost called Moltres Ho-Oh. Not nearly as impressive as Moltres' double flying damage is. And then just for some extra comparison here, I have the Air Slash Aerial Ace Togekiss here compared to the Charm Dazzling Gleam one that also has a Cloudy Weather bonus. So you can see here once again, the double flying moveset is the key to doing really good damage to the Virizion. Like, you know, Charm, super effective, right? Dazzling Gleam, super effective. We got the weather boost here, but it just cannot compare to the double flying moveset on Togekiss. And yeah, don't count out Lugia either. Still an ultra tanky Pokemon. If you got one maxed out for Machamp raids, then this is also a raid that you can bring it in if you are lacking the more like higher DPS options here. Super tanky boy, has the Sky Attack, so definitely rocking it out against the Virizion raid. Now, if you're looking at this graph and you're like, Ryan Swag, I don't have all these super high-end options, and I don't want to max out a Honchkrow or an Unfezant or anything like that, what else can I use that's not shown here? And all I have to say to you guys is, just evolve to Honchkrow and evolve to Unfezant. If you're lacking these more premium options, you don't want to max out a Swellow or something like that, just evolve these guys. Because seriously, like a level 30-ish iteration of Honchkrow or Unfezant, that's going to be way better than many other alternative options you could have for the Virizion raid. So I just want to extra highlight that. Emphasize that these ultra common birds that we're seeing all over the place, you don't have to have them maxed out. You don't have to have the best IVs. You just have to have like the flying type attacks. Most importantly, the flying type charge move, and these two will soar ahead of most other options. So yeah, as always though, Wind Attack, Sky Attack, Moltres. If you can get it on a lucky trade, that would be ideal. Just one of these will be like a huge, massive benefit to your raid squad for sure. Now, if you are curious about the breakpoints and bulk points for some of these Pokemon, I do have links in the description to breakpoint and bulk point calculators. I also have a link in the description to the article on GamePress that I wrote for the Virizion raid, which will also clear up, like, you know, how high do I want to power up my Mewtwo's, for example, if you're working on a budget. So that's all in the description there. Definitely check out the article. As far as Virizion goes in the meta, for gyms and raid battles, yeah, it's got a 192 base attack stat. So just like Cobalion, same stats as Cobalion, not doing anything in the raid or gym battle meta like at all. Just a dex entry, right? Now, as far as PvP is concerned, however, Virizion actually has some serious swag going for it. So where is Virizion's PvP swag located? It is located in the Ultra League. In the Ultra League, if you're not familiar with it, the basic makeup is Giratina's on top. Giratina altered form specifically is on top. That's the big bad of this meta. So what beats that? Well, you got dark types, normal types, ice types, steel type Pokemon, right? Now the main things that counter those guys are fighting type Pokemon, which Virizion is a fighting type Pokemon. Now there are other types in the meta as well. There are fairy types and water types also sprinkled in. So it's not just a clear rock, paper, scissors. The fairy types and the water types do cause a degree of variance in what works out well. So how does Virizion fit into all this? Well, Virizion is able to fit the fighting type role. It can beat normal types, dark types, ice types, you name it. And on top of that, it has a very consistent matchup against water type Pokemon, which is how it stands out from the other fighting types. As far as Virizion versus the other fighting types, it actually does pretty well against the majority of them, but it still loses to Toxicroak. Toxicroak is the fighting type that beats down on all the other fighting types. So no getting around that guy, but as far as the other fighting types go, Virizion definitely has a lot of threat on them. What allows Virizion to do so well is the fact that it has Leaf Blade and Close Combat. Leaf Blade is one of the best charge moves in PvP. It's a really low energy cost charge move that does a heavy chunk of damage, and Grass type is fairly neutral coverage in the Ultra League, and it is the move that really helps it nail down the water type Pokemon. Then we have the recently buffed Close Combat. So obviously big fighting type attack, able to close out a lot of matchups pretty quickly with that heavy damage. The main thing holding Virizion back is its fast moves. It's got Zen Headbutt, which is just not even an attack that works in PvP, let's be real. And it has Quick Attack. And while Quick Attack isn't the best fast move in the game by like any stretch, it's not that bad. And because Virizion has good stats, good resistances, and really good charge moves, the fact that it has this very okay fast move in Quick Attack, it is able to make its way in the Ultra League. So definitely a solid there. And of course, if Virizion were to ever get a move pool update, it were to get a better fast move than Quick Attack, well then Virizion would only stand to improve from that point. Important thing to highlight though is Virizion doesn't really have any tools to bite back against Giratina, and then of course Charm users, fairy type Pokemon, they're going to be able to rip through Virizion pretty easily as well. The Ultra League isn't a pure rock, paper, scissors type thing. There is some dynamicness to it. But with these disadvantages in mind, Virizion is definitely not an absolute must-have Pokemon for the Ultra League. It's just a really solid contender that you should have in the back of your mind. One thing I will note to you though is we do have the Go Battle League coming up, which is Pokemon Go's in-house ranked PvP with like in-game rewards and stuff like that. And the Ultra League is going to be part of that. But what you should do is wait to power up and unlock secondary charge moves for any Pokemon for the Ultra League until we get more details. In fact, you should wait until we get more details and up until the Ultra League season takes place for it, because any sort of metagame change could tilt things out of favor for Virizion or any other Pokemon that you're thinking of powering up for the Ultra League. So just keep that in the back of your mind. The main thing I want you to do with this information about Virizion is to maybe pay closer attention to it while you're raiding it. Maybe check out what its stat product is for the Ultra League based off of your IVs and stuff, and have one just in your group ready to rock and roll should you ever want to power it up for the Ultra League. Now, as far as the Great League and the Master League are concerned for Virizion, yeah, a very okay fast move just isn't enough for it. The Great League, if it were to ever fit into the Great League, is just too dynamic and has too many threats for Virizion there. I mean, one of the top Pokemon is, Altaria. We got Skarmory, and Virizion doesn't really do anything to touch those guys. Then when you have the Master League, I'd say the Master League has too many Steel-type Pokemon that can threaten Virizion. And then in the Master League as well, there's more Psychic and Flying-type options that are, like, really good in that meta, which also weigh on the Virizion, making it just like, maybe if it had a better fast move, maybe if Sacred Sword got added to its move pool and it had like super busted stats or something like that could push Virizion into the Master League meta, but the way things are right now, it's just like almost there. That's Virizion. Yeah, so as far as countering it in the raid pool, super easy boss to beat down. Just use flying type Pokemon with flying type attacks, and it's going to be super easy. And if you have maxed out Psystrike Mewtwo's or maxed out Psychic Mewtwo's, then yeah, put them in the mix too. Very solid options. But if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't have anything else to counter Virizion with, what do I use, Mr. Swag? Evolve your Murkrows. Evolve your Pidoves. Get the Unfezant. Get the Honchkrows, get the flying type attacks on them. If you don't have anything else, using just any sort of high level that you caught of them, regardless of their IVs, is going to be better than what random nonsense you might end up throwing into the raid. Talking about Aggron, by the way, that falls under the umbrella of nonsense that you might bring in. And as far as Virizion Zeus goes in the meta, yeah, it's a pretty solid Pokemon for the Ultra League. But once again, I wouldn't want to power one up or get a second move on it right now. Wait until the Ultra League actually becomes relevant before you start making Stardust investments into the Ultra League. And that even goes for Giratina Altered Form. We don't know what's going to happen when the Go Battle League hits. Maybe they'll ban Legendary and Mythic Pokemon. We don't have the full details yet, and it would suck to spend hundreds of thousands of Stardusts ahead of time for a meta that might not actually exist. So just keep that in mind. At any rate, if you have any questions on this content, comment below, let me know what's up. And if you enjoyed this content, want to see more like it, and you're not subscribed to me already, well then subscribe to Swag Tips, man. Swag.